Control icons are a vital part of character rigging. At this point, we've created various joint systems throughout our character, but we don't want our animator animating these, and that's because, for one, they have these odd translation values that you're never going to get rid of, so we can't reset them back to an easy 0 value. Then we also have to select through a character's geometry to find these joints. Both of those are not very user animator friendly. So in this case, we're going to go over how to create controls to access those joints in our system. So on here we have some examples of good and bad controls. The first thing is objects can't render out. So as you can see, the objects on our left side are actually NURBS curves. So these will never render out. Now, outside of the actual NURBS square on this side, the cube and the sphere will render out, and these make these invalid objects. Another thing is it has to be a single selected object, like these. Now, the NURBS, the actual polysphere, is actually one select, but it does render out. The actual the NURBS square actually is made up of multiple pieces. So if the animator has to ask, should I select this object or this object to control a system, then it's not a good control. And you can see the NURBS square is the same way. So NURBS squares and polygon objects and NURBS cubes are not valid control icons under any circumstances. So we're going to go over in a later podcast how to create these controls, but these are mainly the major rules. Another less important rule is it's got to be able to select through it. Now the only way you get this is if you take like a poly object and destroy the shader group so that it doesn't render out. And that does work, but the normals in the face actually still are there. And if you try to select through it, it will always select the piece of the control. Now this might be something that you feature in your system, but in most cases it's not a desirable trait, like modeling shoulder pads and then deleting it. I wouldn't be able to select through it to select a system that I might be able to see behind it. And those are pretty much the fundamentals of creating good control icons.